Hello and good afternoon everybody, and welcome back once again for another video of DIY investing. I want to give a quick shout out to all my subscribers and anybody that's been following me for a while. We just hit 500 subscribers last night, and so I think that's a really awesome thing, and I just wanted to quickly tell you guys how appreciative I am of you and all of your guys' support on the YouTube channel and in the Discord and just everywhere. It really does mean a lot to me to be able to see the community start growing and growing very quickly. I think it took me like a year to get to 100 subscribers, and so now over the course of about 5 months we've already managed to quadruple that, and so I can see that the channel's growing much quicker than ever before, and so for that I'm just very thankful and grateful to have you guys a part of here. It's very awesome for me to get on here and share my perspective of the market with you guys. I know how hard it was for me when I first got into trading, and especially with cryptocurrency where there's not a lot of information on the market out there. I know that that's what I wanted to make of this channel, was for me to be able to come up here, explain my own perspective, and just kind of help mentor you guys that haven't been around as long as I have to trade these cycles, because this is honestly one of the best bets for making a significant amount of money on your initial investment. It doesn't require a ton of risk to make a lot back with cryptocurrency, and so that's why I'm really here. I just wanted to help mentor some of you guys towards obtaining that financial freedom that everybody wants to find in their lives. All right guys, today's video we're gonna be diving in and looking at 10 altcoins. This is just a quick little update with all the altcoins. These are altcoins that people have talked about inside of my Discord server, as well as coins I've talked about in times past, and then some other coins that I haven't talked about as much, but I think are providing profitable setups. So we're gonna dive in today, share with you guys my 10 altcoins that I'm watching pretty closely over the next couple months, some altcoins you guys recommended, some altcoins I recommended. Let's jump right in the video today so we don't lose out on any more time. So here we are. Now, something to note at the start of this video before I get into too much detail, I wanted to quickly say that some of these are going to be in dollar pairs and some of them are going to be in Bitcoin pairs. I know I just made some videos talking about how I was going to be trading Bitcoin pairs, but for this video we're mainly just going to be doing some technical analysis, in which I do still do technical analysis on the dollar pairs. In fact, I always look at the dollar pair even if I'm only going to be trading with the Bitcoin pair. Now, the thing about the dollar pair, and the reason why I sometimes still look at these pairs compared to the Bitcoin, is the fact that the symmetry of the market cycle is often a lot more exact with the dollar, because the dollar doesn't have as much volatility. So it's a little bit harder to find clean charts when you're trading on the Bitcoin pair compared to what the dollar is. It's going to paint it a little bit more symmetrical. And so for that reason, I'm going to be sharing with you guys some of the Bitcoin pairs and some of the dollar pairs in this video, just so that we're on the same page, because I feel like for the sake of this video, doing technical analysis and updating you guys on alts, it doesn't matter which pair I'm looking at, because I'm not necessarily taking active trades. I'm just showing you guys kind of what I'm watching for. So first up on the list today is going to be D.I.Y. Now, obviously, if you've been watching my channel for a while, you know that this is a coin that I've been watching and have been accumulating since back down in here. I made my first video update talking about this coin at the very bottom before we ended up bouncing into this impulse. And from that impulse, I expected us to break out, but we got met at resistance and then came back down for another low. Now, the interesting thing about this is the fact that the very lowest point in market structure we have is about right here. We came and momentarily breached support right there, just short piercing, and then we bounced back up onto trending support. So from a horizontal support and resistance level, we have still yet to break and fail support. And so for me, that's a really good bullish case. This is the most bullish case that could have happened with D.I.Y. And so the fact that we're seeing that is a very good sign overall. Now, if we zoom in here, you guys know the comparison that I've been drawing for a significant amount of time now. We have this fractal that's playing out inside of D.I.Y, and it's a fractal that's played out once in times past, and now I'm seeing it playing out once again in the current market cycle. And we can see we have the blow off top, we consolidate here before making one more lower low, we get a rounded bottom formation, and then we go into the next cycle. And the current market structure is painting the same fractal. We consolidate here, make one more lower low, rounded bottom formation before impulsing to the next cycle. Now, even though it's taken a few more months than I would have liked, or what I should say I would have expected, because I'm honestly more than happy to accumulate longer term bags than I have. I'm honestly more than happy to sit here and accumulate with the longer the market's giving us. I didn't really expect us to have these low points in market value again, and so the fact that right now we're basically at my original entries back down in here from like December, and even probably not December, most likely closer towards February, January, February is when I accumulated back here. And so to see our price levels clear back at those same critical lows, that's really bullish, guys. Now, not bullish for the fact that we're going lower, bullish for the fact that I can now accumulate at some of these lower points again, because guys, nothing's really changed for me. I'm still bullish and have been bullish throughout this consolidation. Now, even though we didn't break out of this consolidation range and we went lower once again, it still didn't change the fact that we're still trending on support is bullish, and nothing has really changed for that matter. And so for me, this looks really nice. Looks like we have the potential for a double bottom formation, something that we saw back in Bitcoin in 2015 in its bottom consolidation. And so what I'm expecting to see here is us to continue to trend a little higher. We might stop about right about here at this resistance, kind of trend back down before going up higher again. But what I like thus far is the fact that we've just trended in this range. We're just kind of up and down, side to side in this low consolidation range, which to me, even though there isn't a lot of volume, I still think that the market structure is painting that there is money entering this, and we are going to be expecting to see another rally up in the next cycle. Next up is Darrow. Now this one is a Bitcoin pairing. I talked about this one a lot in times past, and from that point we've mainly just sold off from this initial retrace. I bought my first bags about right here, added some more down here, and bought some more down here. So each significant low we've made, I've managed to accumulate. I didn't really learn about Darrow until clear up here at the top of resistance. Didn't accumulate until right here, but I did buy a little bit higher than I would have liked to with that market structure. But it's okay, guys. You take losses. Sometimes the market doesn't do what you would have liked to. I didn't set a stop loss, so that's my fault, and that's a big reason why stop losses are important, especially what kind of trading you're doing. If you're doing day trading, you have to have a stop loss. Most any kind of trading you need to have a stop loss. Really, there's very select few times where you don't run a stop loss, but I just wanted to point out kind of how I accumulated this. So I did buy 3 different positions in here, managed to pick some up at this last sell-off before we started impulsing. So I am in a little bit of profit with some of these lower bags down here. Now the lowest bags are my biggest bags, so the bigger bags I bought down at this bottom because it was a better risk to reward time. I liked that we were at this descending resistance. We'd bounced off of it about 3 or 4 different times, and now with us being at such a critical support level with good volume coming in, I expected us to see a breakout. I thought we'd see a breakout up here, but I was also paying a lot more attention to the dollar, and the dollar ended up falling along Bitcoin. And so I really kind of got stuck into this trade a little bit longer than I would have liked to, but it's okay because I did end up buying a lot more back down to this bottom that are in profit. So now currently what I'm watching for, guys, is the fact that it does appear like we are reacting and have broken and pushed through this descending resistance. Keep in mind this is on a weekly time frame, so the sellers could drop us back down lower once again, and it's something to watch out for. We're going to see what the weekly close gives us, but thus far it's looking bullish. I like the volume that we've got in here coming at these low support levels. We're now reacting to this descending resistance, which in times past has given us a pretty significant retrace from that point. And so I like what we're seeing thus far. Good volume coming in at the terminal end of correction on support, and now we're getting a nice buy candle that's taking us out of this resistance. That to me is a very bullish sign, but we're going to need to see what the weekly close gives us. If we close outside of this resistance, I think that's your go-to, that the descending resistance has been broken and the new cycle is very much underway. But this is one that I'm accumulating for a big reason that I like the project of Darrow. I think it has a very significant fundamental use case in the world, and I think that it's going to be adopted very quickly. So for me personally, I've been accumulating Darrow, have been for a while, and now I'm finally in a little bit of profit with some of my some of my bags that I bought down in here. I wanted to quickly update you guys and show you exactly kind of what I'm seeing thus far. Next up on the list is Litecoin on the dollar. Now, last time I updated you guys, I told you I was buying at $69. I bought here and then we dropped for one more leg down. Now, is this the bottom or are we going to continue to sell off? I'm not entirely sure quite yet, but I can say that we're on a pretty significant support level right now, as I thought we were before. So that's why I'm saying we're going to have to watch and see. But I do like what I'm seeing thus far. Now, this was the major support level that I was watching for right here. This was where we made our first low. This was the first resistance out of those December lows that we hit and broke through. And so now we're retesting those lows. Now I want to see us hold support here, but it doesn't have to be right where we're at. We could drop off a little bit lower. In fact, we can drop all the way back down to about here is what I'm watching for. I don't want to see us drop that low, but I'm not going to be bearish if we do, because that still is in play of bullish market structure, in my opinion. So this is kind of what I'm watching out for. As of right now, we still are trending below resistance. We have made a lower low. And so in my opinion, until we really break out of 64 and hold support probably about 64, 66, somewhere right around that area, there's no real reason to think that we're major bullish. And I mean, we still have pretty significant resistance even below $70, right about here. Until we break and hold support above this region, it's going to look a little bit more bearish because we have only made lower lows. And so we're going to be watching to see exactly where support is going to be met. What I'd like to see whenever we do find support, I like to see a nice buyback, whether that comes where we're at now or whether we have to drop a little bit lower in the cycle. Either way, it's not really too concerning for me, but if we don't start impulsing and making some significant moves, whether it's volume breakouts, whether it's price increasing down at these lower support levels, or even where we're at, it's going to look kind of bad, and we're going to have to kind of watch and see what our plan is going to give us, because we may need to rethink bearish scenarios moving forward. But thus far, I'm not really getting shaken out, I'm not scared. I'm just watching for support to be met. The fact that we have such nice volume coming in here and have had volume coming in here for a while tells me that this is a bullish coin. We are in a bull market. Even though this is the first leg, we're going to experience a lot of volatility on the downside. Not stressing about it, and you guys probably shouldn't either. Next up on the list is Ripple or XRP. Now, XRP for me has been one that I've been very interested in for a while. I've noticed a fractal that's been playing out and has been for a significant amount of time, and it's one that's lining up pretty closely to the last cycle. If you've watched my channel for a while, you'll know the fractal that I'm talking about, and it's basically this one. Now, from these lows, we have our first cycle high, and then we retrace from those lows, and then we get held underneath this resistance for almost the entirety of that bear cycle. Now, we had one more high before that, but for the majority of accumulation, we're getting rejected inside of this tight consolidation before finally we see a volume breakout, price breaks out momentarily, and then we sell off for one more lower low. This is kind of like the last sell-off before we go into the new cycle. Now, this cycle here looks a lot like the one we're seeing here. You guys know that I've been comparing this for a while, so I don't need to go into too much detail about this comparison or fractal. But what I do like to see is the symmetry of the two, and that's exactly what I've been seeing thus far. Now, if we look here, we're going to see we had the cycle high. We had this tight consolidation that held us, and we coiled in here for a significant amount of time inside of that bear market. The volume breakout comes, price also breaks out short term, and then we sell off one more time for one more lower low. And from that point, guys, it looks like we could very easily be at that bottom. Now, I have been saying that for a while, since we were at this support floor up here at about 30 cents. I said that, and we have short term sold through that. And so there is potential for downside, and I talked about that in some of my last updates. But as of right now, I still like the market structure that I'm seeing. Now, I've been trading this market cycle based off of the last cycle for a while now, probably the last month or two. I've been watching and following this comparison. And so even though we've sold through support and have been rejected, I'm really still not too worried about what's going on in current structure. I mean, based off of what I've told you guys, I said that it is possible we could revisit some of these lower support clusters down in here. And really, I'm not going to be too shaken out either way, because I do expect the long-term use case for these things. Now, even though I'm not going to sit here and say Ripple's going to flip Bitcoin, or Ripple is going to be a future currency, we're going to use Ripple every single day, I don't know that. Nobody knows that. This whole market is speculation. But what I can say is that even if we do go a little bit lower, I am personally bullish enough and have invested enough of my time and energy into cryptocurrency that I do strongly believe that these things are going to go for a next cycle. Now, whether they're going to be here in 5 to 10 years from now, I honestly don't care. But what I can say is I'm confident that we're going to go into a new all-time high, very impulsive market cycle. And so for me, even though we're selling off into this support cluster, and we could go a little bit lower, I'm not going to be selling my bags. I'm only going to be looking to accumulate more. Now, at this point in trading, I'm either going to get wrecked severely or I'm going to make a lot of money on the upside. Now, this is where my bias comes in. I'm a natural bullish player inside of cryptocurrency. I like to maximize the long-term trend of things, and so for that reason, I'm really invested in this time. Ripple's one that I've been investing in for a while, but I just want to stress the point that I am not being shaken out in this time. I'm not fearful in the slightest. I have absolutely no emotional play attached to the outcome of this market, but what I can say is I'm very confident that we are going to be bullish. So this is kind of what I'm watching out for, guys. Really, we look like we're having the same consolidation that happened back in the day. Even though this one kind of held a little bit more of a bullish support, this one sold through. I still am very bullish on XRP in the short term and the long term. I think that this one's going to perform better than most of the other altcoins that we have to trade, and so for that reason, it's been around a long time. It's proven itself in the bear markets. It's a no-brainer for me, and that's why I'm investing in XRP. Alright guys, next up is a Bitcoin pair. This one's Tron. This one was recommended to me and asked inside of my Discord if I could cover. So I don't remember exactly who asked me, but one of you guys asked me for Tron and Bitshares, so both of those are going to be covered in this video. So let's take a look at Tron here. Now Tron, from a technical analysis point of view, we had this support level that we'd been consolidating on for a pretty significant amount of time, pretty much the entire bear market. And then recently we sold through that. Now from the point we're at now, from the sell-off at that support level, we kind of bounced off it right here, and that was our last leg that really broke that support. We had some pretty significant volume coming in here, a little bit more of conglomerate volume than we even saw in the entire last cycle. So there is more volume in this market cycle than ever before. So that's your bullish sign. Now, bearish sign is the fact that we have sold through the support floor. So what I'm currently seeing inside of Tron from a technical analysis perspective is the fact that as of right now, we're just consolidating below resistance. Until we get a confirmed breakout and support and resistance flip and we're consolidating on support, I'm really not going to be too interested in this, because what it looks like for me is a lot more potential for downside than it does up. But what I'm watching for currently is if we're going to be able to get rejected off of this resistance level, or if we're going to break up and out of it and then hold support at previous resistance. So those are really the two things that you need to be watching out for if you're a Tron holder. Now, what if we hit this resistance and then we sell for a lower low? Well, if we sell for a lower low, realistically speaking, your next target's probably going to be about here at the lowest low of the last cycle. That would honestly be your best bet. Now, it is possible that we could bottom a little bit higher, maybe like right here. And so I will give you this range to kind of work with and watch. But this is these two black lines down here from about, 87 sats all the way down to about 13 sats, right around there. So it's honestly a huge range to play with. But that's kind of the way it works with these cryptocurrencies. Whenever they do start to impulse and go really low, they can honestly make a pretty big drop quickly. And I mean, there really isn't a lot of support to be playing with at this point. We've sold through all of our support, and now it's looking like a bearish retest. And so realistically, our next support isn't going to be until, maybe like this 87 cent or 87 sat mark. And then we could even go as low as 13 sats, or even 13 sats, right around there. So there's honestly a huge range. Even though this doesn't look very big, it is a pretty big range to be playing with. So with me personally watching Tron, I'm gonna watch for a breakout of resistance as support. Now, if we drop for another lower low, I might look to accumulate some down here at about 13 sats, but really I'd just be watching what the market structure looks like. Remember guys, I play most of my day trades, and even my long term, just when I'm trading based off candlesticks, I'm mainly using support and resistance, diagonal support and resistance, and then just playing price action, maybe a couple indicators like the RSI, but I don't like to overcomplicate things. And so this is, to me, the simplest way that I can explain what's happening to Tron in a way that you guys that maybe have been holding this or don't know what to do necessarily can see this and kind of have a better picture and understanding. But as of right now, it's looking like it's less bullish. Now, the bullish case, one final bullish case I can give you is the fact we do have pretty significant bullish divergence on the RSI. We've made a higher high, failed to break momentum, and we made a lower low in price, a pretty significant lower low. So for me personally, this does show that a lot of momentum is leaving the seller's favor. and is entering the buyers. And so you guys know the strategy that I'm going to be rocking with. If we break out of this resistance and hold support, I personally would be looking for longs in that time. I think that those would be really good bets to be trading margin on Binance. I think that you'd make a lot of money buying the retest of that support and resistance flip. So this is Tron. Next up is Bitshares. Now Bitshares, I don't need to go into too much detail because it's honestly a really pretty chart from my perspective. Now sometimes Bitcoin pairs will look really ugly and volatile. Sometimes they look very symmetrical, just like the last cycles that they had. Now Bitshares is a prime example of this. What I'm seeing currently is this cycle that we're currently retracing in, from the blow off top and then all of this sideways up and down. This cycle right here is the exact same as this previous one that we had back in the day. A little bit different, but roughly the same. And I'm going to show you guys what I mean. So this is where we had the blow off top, and then we start retracing from there. Now from the retrace, we make this ABC correction. Technically it would have been like this, A, B, C, but I'm drawing it a little bit different for you guys. Let's change this a little bit. A, B, C, back down. Now, this isn't supposed to be exact Elliott wave, so if it's wrong, please just don't even pay attention to it. I'm just kind of showing you guys and mapping it out through what tools I have on TradingView. So roughly the same thing, A, B, C, back down, and then from here we get our first impulse. So this would have been our first impulse, and then we A, B, C, back down. So first impulse, A, B, C, back down here. That takes us to about here. We get a little bit of a run. This run is pretty insignificant compared to the last cycles, but now we're kind of back at that last ABC range. Now, whether we come back up and make another retest right about here, if we're making another lower low, I don't know exactly, or whether this is the final sell-off, but based off of kind of the fractal analysis, kind of what I'm seeing currently is, wrong one. What I'm seeing currently is that we're about right here. My guess is we're about here. This new cycle compared to the old, we're about right here before we have this big, crazy, parabolic run inside of the altcoins. So, I mean, this is kind of what I'm watching out for. I don't know exactly how this is going to play out, whether we bounce up a little bit higher and then go lower once more, or whether this is kind of the last sell-off. I do want to stress the point that this cycle is nearly completed. I think that the bear cycle of this is nearly completed. We are back at base support, guys. I mean, we are now retesting almost the very bottom of that base support. We have technically made a higher high from this cycle to the low of this. Now we need to see exactly where this is going to take us. As of right now, I do like what I'm seeing. I might be posting some signals inside of my Discord server for day trades off a couple of these calls that I'm showing you guys in this video. So if you're somebody that's looking for signals, you can message me on Discord and you can ask me there. If you're looking for an invitation link, just click the description of this video and then you're gonna get access to my Discord server. But what I'm seeing currently is a bullish engulfing candle at the bottom of this correction. Whether this is the actual bottom, I don't know. We're going to have to watch and see. But we have a pretty significant amount of bullish divergence on the RSI. This is a 3-day time frame. Lower lows, bullish engulfing after we stop making lower lows, and now we're technically at a higher high. So if we can maintain a higher high, continue to go up a little higher, I think that this is very easily could be the bottom before we go an impulse at least up to these resistance levels. Probably back up to here would be my guess. Somewhere right about there. And even from here, if you're looking for a day trade, I mean, I'm not saying buy this. I'm not saying buy this. This isn't financial advice. But looking for a day trade, I mean, just up to this resistance is over 100%. So you could double your Bitcoin just off of that trade. And so this is what I'm watching out for. To quickly talk about this, this was actually brought up to me by one of the members inside of my Discord. So if you're holding this, I only showed you the Bitcoin pair. If you really want a dollar perspective, you can message me with either Tron or Bitshares. It really doesn't matter. Just message me on Discord and I will get back to that. So this one is Bitshares. Next up on the list is Dogecoin. Now, Dogecoin to me is an alt season no-brainer. This one always pumps with the top altcoins that lead alt season, whether it's Ethereum, whether it's Litecoin. Dogecoin is going to be one that's performing well in the wake of a big expansion inside of cryptocurrency. and it's usually one that leads the market. And it's kind of what we're seeing thus far. Now, keep in mind, guys, these little blue or these little green boxes indicate the low points before we've had significant volatility on the upside. And roughly what I'm seeing currently is the same with Bitshares. This cycle is the same as this cycle back here, just a little bit smaller, a little bit different, but they follow the same sort of pumping patterns. Now, so this is the cycle high, full retrace, and then we pump out of that. So low, cycle high, full retrace, and then we pump out of that. So this move is the same as here. We retrace back onto support, we pump again, and then we sell off one more time. And now we're waiting for this pump right here. In my opinion, I think we're about right here. Hit this green box before we make another big pump. In my opinion, I think you can go pretty safe by just timing the resistance of all of these points, because we've had reactions once, twice, 3, 4, 5 different times. In my opinion, that's your safest bet for targeting Dogecoin on the Bitcoin pair, and I think that it's very possible that we're going to hit up here. I think it's likely, in my opinion. It's more likely than it doesn't, because we've hit up here 5 different times, which would equate from current values over 250%. So this is kind of the trading plan that I'm rocking with Dogecoin. I made a video in times past called channel trading, and this is really your most ideal scenario for channel trading. These coins that make a lot of pump and dumps, you can buy support, sell into resistance, and just kind of repeats the cycle. With these ones, it's a little bit more tricky. Generally speaking, you're going to want to accumulate and average into your position at relative low points. But the thing about those relative low points is you don't necessarily know where they're at. A lot of these look to be very quick sell-offs before immediate bounces, and so really you get very few times to accumulate. Right here would have been one, right here is your chance, down here would have been a good chance, and so really this cycle is giving you a lot of opportunities to accumulate Doge. I told you guys that now is a good time to be buying back down in these last sell-offs down here. I told you guys lower support levels that I was watching if we sold through support, and I was telling you guys that if we bounce from right here where my targets were, resistances haven't changed at all. This has been the same resistance that I'm targeting. I think that with this impulse, it has the potential to go a little bit higher, maybe even all the way up to here. And now don't bank on that. If you're somebody watching this, don't necessarily take trades based off of just my analysis alone. This is kind of what I'm just sharing with you guys from my own perspective. This is how I personally would be trading this if I was somebody looking to enter the market. I would wait for, I mean, honestly guys, when it comes to trading, your own plan is the only one that's going to benefit you. If you're following somebody else all of the time, and you're not willing to take your own trades, even if you're risking like 0.5% of your portfolio, it's important to be taking your own trades, even if you're learning from somebody else and copying somebody else's trades. So I just want to stress that, guys. If you're somebody that's following this channel, make sure you're not taking trades solely off of the fact of my analysis that I'm posting on here. Make sure that if you want analysis or if you want specific entries, that you join the entries channel, because that's where you're going to get a lot more value out of that. But this is what I'm watching out for Doge. Really, this major resistance that I've been watching, accumulated some bags down in here on Poloniex. This is my ultimate Poloniex bag, is Dogecoin. Always accumulated some on the old school Poloniex servers. So I love Poloniex for the simple reason that whenever I'm trading on Poloniex, it means that Dogecoin is very much in the play of things. So this is Dogecoin. Next up is IOTA on the dollar. Now, IOTA is one that I've been watching for a while. I'm more interested in it now because of the fact we're back down at these lower support levels. It's looking a little bit more bullish for that reason. I'd rather accumulate at support than closer to resistance. And we've got this tight little range that we've been consolidating in for a little while since the lows of December. We've kind of just chopped around at this support level. Volume, there's really not a ton. We did get a little bit of an increase right here when we slammed into resistance, but for the most part, we're not experiencing a ton of volume. What I'm seeing currently and what I want to update you guys about is the fact that we are basically at this support. We're mostly likely the average of this cluster, of this range that we're seeing right here. We're kind of at that average point, and so I figured right now is a good time to talk about it. Like I said, don't make trades based off of this analysis. But what I'm kind of watching out for right now is the fact that we are back at this lower support level. We're going to need to see kind of how we react from this level. If we're going to keep going up, that's going to look a little bit more bullish. But if we drop back down, our last support level takes us to about, technically it takes us back down to about here. And so if I was somebody that was looking to snipe an entry, I think that you have the potential to maybe see something like a leg down, one last sell-off, kind of like what we saw with D.I.Y. I think that that would be your best bet. If you wanted to just throw some low buy orders, I think that this is the range that I would play, low down in here. Set my first ones at support, and then set some down in here, because technically we do have lows of candle bodies down at this point. And so it is possible that we could see a short-term sell-off, one more leg back down to this lower support level. But I'm not really going to count on that. We did already retrace back down to almost this first target, and now it looks like we're getting a lot more bullish action on the upside. So kind of what I'm going to be watching out for now is where market's going to go. If we start to go a little bit higher from here, I would look to potentially buy the retrace of that move into resistance. Now, if I'm watching this and we get rejected virtually where we're at, or we fail to continue to make higher highs, then these are the next two targets that I'm going to be watching out for on the downside. Really, I'm just playing this one the least risky possible. I'm going to wait for the market to really decide what way it's going to go before I'd look to take a trade. Now, I don't think that it's a terrible idea to take a trade right here, considering we are at the average of this entire cluster right here. But that's not financial advice. Take it with what you will. Next up is ZRX. ZRX has been one that I've been watching out for a while, especially if you've been following my channel, you'll know this. Started talking about ZRX about right here. Accumulated my first bags about right here, and from that point we actually made a lower low. Fail? Not really. I'm not really too worried about this, but we have made a lower low, and from that low we are now starting to impulse out of that. Now, what I do like about this, even though we made a lower low, the fact that we have broken from every major descending resistance in the cycle is a no-brainer for me. That's always your key indication that this one's about to go much higher. I mean, we had this resistance here that I was watching, we'd rejected off it 3 different times, and a 4th time down here. We hugged that resistance level really tight until finally, with this last impulse, we broke out of every major descending resistance. I like the volume. We have had a nice little bit of volume coming in here from this initial breakout. We had a little bit of volume that came in here from this initial move, but it wasn't very significant. Now, from this initial breakout that we saw here in volume, this was the Coinbase listing, and so we got a little bit more volume that came in here, almost more than the entire cycle highs volume, and so I was a little bit bullish for that reason. Now, from here, it's only looked better and better. Even though we have made lower lows, it does look really good, and we're going to be able to see that we've basically had bullish divergence from this entire time. Even though we made 3 lower lows, the momentum has stayed in momentum of the bulls throughout that time, and so for me this still looks very good. This is a coin I haven't talked about for a while just because we've been watching to see what the heck is going to happen with the market, but I do like what I'm seeing thus far. We're a little bit over my initial investment bags that I accumulated back down here at about 23 cents, right about that range. But I mean, just to the all-time high, you're looking at about an 800% return, so an 8x. When Ethereum performs really well and Ethereum starts impulsing into its next cycle, this one's going to follow suit because this one is built upon the Ethereum blockchain. This one gets its value from Ethereum mainly, and so it's going to be following Ethereum. I think that's why we've seen this nice breakout, is because Ethereum's been really leading the charge from these lows that we've seen. And so this one is ZRX. Wanted to quickly touch up on some things. Haven't talked about this one for a while. You guys know what I'm rocking with. Broke out of all descending resistance. I think that this one's a go to the moon. All right, guys, last up is going to be Holo. Holo, this one is a Bitcoin pairing. I really like what I'm seeing currently here. With Holo, we had this tight little range that we've been consolidating in from these critical support levels that we saw, and we have actually broken out of all of that descending resistance. Now, this was the range that we were playing with. Kind of looked like a bear flag, I guess, because we were in a downtrend, but we broke up and out of that. And so for me, this looks really good. Now, I wouldn't personally be looking to buy right this second. I would wait for the retest of this support level. I think that buying that retest would set you up for a pretty profitable day trade. This is one that I'm actually going to be posting inside of my signals for a potential day trade. I'm going to set an entry. We'll see if we can get filled on it, but I do like what I'm seeing thus far. With Holo right now, it just looks like we've been accumulating at this low point. We have had a nice little volume breakout with the breakout of this descending resistance, and so realistically I'd be looking to target some of these resistance levels underneath. But as of right now, it does look pretty good. We do have this major descending resistance. We are close to that descending resistance. If we can get a buyback at this support level, maybe one more sell-off at support, I think that this next leg up has the potential to actually break out of this descending resistance, but we're going to watch and see. Overall, Holo itself, I don't really know a lot about it. I know a lot of people were talking about it back here, and especially in this in this impulse up, but everybody's talking about something when it's impulsing, so I don't really know a whole lot about it. What I can say is that we had this tight little range that we've been consolidating in for probably a long time. I would imagine this was close to about 80 days time frame. Let's take a look. So about 60 days, we were in that range. So 60 days we consolidated here, and we just barely broke out. So for me, that's a really good bullish sign that higher highs are to be expected. I personally would wait until I buy the retest of that support and resistance flip, because I think that's your safest bet to play off of. But really, guys, this is the altcoins I had for you. These are all top 10 of the altcoins I'm watching for right now. Some of them were recommended to me by you guys, and some of these were just from my own personal analysis. Some of them I've talked about in times past, and some of them I've just been watching and think that these look really interesting. So if you found this video helpful, make sure you hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss any more videos like the one provided for you here. If you're somebody that's wanting to find signals or just further your own technical analysis by posting inside of a group, join my Discord server by clicking the invitation link in the description of this video, and there you're gonna get access to that. Anyways, guys, thank you all so much for the support. I will catch you in the next video. As always, peace out.